Welcome to the American Academy of Grief Counseling's Videogram on the transformative nature of grief. And what we're going to look at in this video is how grief changes us for better or for worse. So when we emerge from loss, our views of the world are also altered. How one emerges from grief itself really depends on how well we cope and deal with the particular loss and how we are able to put that loss into perspective in our life narrative, whether it's the past, the present, the future. Where does that loss fit in and how does it affect us now and moving forward and so forth? So this is very important to understand that all grief changes us in some way. Loss will transform us in some way. It's up to us how that transformation takes place, whether it will be for better or worse. And in our first look is what our worldviews will be after the loss. After a particular loss, an individual will come out differently. The worldviews that we might have held prior to that particular loss might not be there, or they might be reviewed again to see how they differ before. So individuals definitely experience a transformation in how they view the world itself. Now, the first phrase, it can now happen to me. That's one of the first phrases you think, because before you watch the news and you see particular clips and individuals die, maybe due to a storm, a tornado, or they're killed in an auto accident, and it's just news that goes across your television screen. Now, after something bad that might occur to you happens, it now becomes a reality. It can, and it does happen to you. It can happen to me, and so forth. And this is a new view on how you might see things. You might not feel as indestructible, as invincible to loss itself. You actually come to reality. You're actually giving a tall glass of reality that unfortunately you have to drink. And you're no longer in that fantasy world that nothing bad can happen to you or those you love. And that's an important, I think, transformation to be able to exist in this world and to know that bad things can happen. Also, the world is not such a nice place anymore. You might have been blessed with very few losses in life, very few deaths that have occurred in your life. And now something bad has happened and the world isn't as sugar-coated. You're not spared from tragedy anymore like other individuals. And this might stir within you a variety of philosophical questions, an existential crisis of questions of good and evil. Why did this evil happen to me? Or you might go into a spiritual theodicy regarding your faith itself. How can a good God allow bad things to happen in this world? And you might begin to question God himself in regards to his goodness, or whether or not God isn't all-powerful enough to stop evil. Why does he permit evil and so forth? And that's a video for a different day. That's theodicy, where we look at the seemingly contradiction between a good God and evil things that occur in this world and so forth. And it's also something that individuals who experience bad things that occur end up having to face and to deal with. And how is that going to impact their actual faith, their worldview of their faith in regards to the loss that they're experiencing? In regards to prayer as well, individuals pray all the time, and some have what we would refer to as a bad faith. What I mean by bad faith is we see communication with the deity as a contract. If I pray, I get this. Or if I pray correctly, I get this. Well, if something bad happens, well, maybe I didn't pray correctly, or maybe I'm a bad person, or maybe God doesn't hear or care what I pray about. And that's an example of bad faith. And individuals who were spiritual and they suddenly have something bad happen to them, they come across this type of feeling sometimes. Instead of seeing prayer as a communication with the deity, as a sojourning with and a covenant with the being, they begin to see it as a contract, and that can unravel their faith. And I think in Hebrew scriptures, the story of Job is in particular a powerful story to show that bad things happen to good people. Personal transformation can take place in various ways. Here are three that I would consider. Some individuals fall into deep despair. Life is seen as a valley of tears, and adjustment might never come, or it takes a long time. We do discuss this in a video on resiliency. How resilient is someone? How well do they recover from a particular loss? And obviously, some individuals have objective or subjective elements that prevent them from recovering as quick as others. Other individuals can emerge from loss more grateful. Life is seen as fleeting. It's not permanent, and that we need to cherish what we have and the moments as they come. So an individual who suffered various losses throughout his or her life, they're experiencing something really good. They might cherish it more, knowing that it can later be taken from them. So being grateful, and also grateful for the past. Maybe they think back and go, well, I was really fortunate to have all these blessings in the past, and I'm really grateful. It's gone now, but I am grateful for what I had, and I will be grateful in the future as new things come my way, even though I'm still suffering with this particular loss. Some individuals become more spiritual and hopeful through the loss, the transformation that occurs within them. They become more spiritual, and they look for that future reunification with their loved ones according to their belief system and what they think will happen in the next world. Also, we do discover in loss that there is some value in suffering. There's many isms in the world that try to dismiss suffering at all costs, but most spiritualities see suffering as something that we don't like. It is negative, but things can come from it that are good. It can teach us certain things, maybe to rely on others more. And if we're spiritual, in God himself, purging of maybe worldly connections that took us away from what was most important, family and so forth. And in that, a connection with deeper values themselves. Also, being a survivor, surviving something that was horrible, or dealing with a loss that was very painful. Scars define who we are and direct us on what we will be later. And in learning to cope, we not only become stronger and more resilient, but we're also able to help others cope better. So when we're able to help others, goodness is manifested, and we get to see individuals emerge through the chaos. And this is countless stories of catastrophes that occur where the goodness of humanity emerges in the evil and the chaos. So goodness is able to be witnessed, to be felt, that might not have been felt without that. So good does come from evil. It can come out of it and correct the evil. And in that, we can see many positives out of it. And also, finally, finding that value beyond this world. Suffering can show us that this world, if we're spiritual, especially, that this world isn't what it's all made out to be. There are some good moments in this world, but for the most part, this world doesn't give us what we need completely. There isn't a complete sense of happiness. So the suffering teaches us maybe we need to look beyond our senses and to find something with more meaning, relationships, family, and for some, God himself. I'd like to thank you for listening today. We are the American Academy of Grief Counseling. Below is our course link where you can review the 4 core courses that lead to our 4-year certification. The program is online and independent study and is available for qualified professionals seeking that 4-year certification in grief counseling. Our phone number is 330 330-652-7776. Again, that number is 330-652-7776. And our email is info@aihcp.org. Again, that email is info@aihcp.org. Thank you for listening today and have a great day.